Have you ever found yourself in a relentless chase, pouring all your energy into winning her over? You've done everything. Sent the good morning texts, arranged those accidental run-ins, bent over backward to make her notice you. And yet, something feels off. She doesn't seem as invested as you are, and your efforts often go unnoticed or worse, taken for granted. Frustrating, isn't it? Now, let me ask you, what if the key to transforming your entire dynamic with her lies not in doing more, but in stepping back? So what if instead of chasing, you simply stopped and let her come to you? It sounds counterintuitive, almost too simple. But here's the truth. Pulling back isn't just a game changer, it's a life changer. We're about to dive into the psychology of attraction through the powerful lens of Stoicism, and by the end of this journey, you'll understand why stepping back is the ultimate power move. You'll unlock a shift so profound it could make her see you in an entirely new light. Are you ready to flip the script? Let's dive in. When you stop running after her, something fascinating happens. In fact, 9 powerful shifts begin to unfold, each more intriguing than the last. These aren't tricks or shallow tactics. They're rooted in authentic self-development and timeless Stoic wisdom. So, let's explore the first of these profound changes and see how you can reclaim your power, your self-worth, and most surprisingly, her attention. 1. Reclaiming your self-worth. Imagine for a moment, you've been chasing her, investing all your time, energy, and emotions. But deep down, you feel an imbalance. You're constantly seeking her approval, and when she doesn't reciprocate the way you hope, it chips away at your confidence. Sound familiar? Here's the hard truth. The more you chase, the more you dilute your value. The moment you place her opinion of you above your own, you hand her control over your sense of self-worth. This is where Stoicism steps in with a profound lesson. Your worth isn't defined by others' validation, but by your inner character and actions. When you stop chasing, something remarkable begins to happen. You reclaim your power. You're no longer at the mercy of her responses, her texts, or her attention. Instead, you remind yourself of your intrinsic value. You stop asking, "Does she like me?" and start affirming, "I like me." This shift in mindset is magnetic. Why? Because nothing is more attractive than someone who knows their worth. Think about it. When was the last time you were drawn to someone who constantly sought validation? Probably never. Confidence, true confidence, comes from within, and it shines brightest when you detach your sense of value from others' opinions. Now let's talk about what this means in practice. When you stop seeking her attention, you free up that energy to invest in yourself. But you begin to focus on your goals, your passions, and your personal growth. You hit the gym, advance your career, learn new skills. You become the best version of yourself, not for her, but for you. Here's a question to ponder. What would happen if you redirected all the energy you're spending on her toward improving yourself? Imagine the man you could become, the confidence, the drive, the sheer presence you'd exude. So that's the man she, and any high-value woman, would naturally be drawn to. Let me share a little secret. People are attracted to those who are comfortable in their own skin, who radiate self-assuredness. When you reclaim your self-worth, you project exactly that. And here's the kicker. When you stop chasing her, she starts to notice you more. Your absence creates a void, a sense of intrigue. And suddenly, she's the one wondering about you. This isn't about playing games or manipulating her emotions. It's about living authentically, embracing your value, and allowing her to see the man you truly are. When you're no longer constantly in her orbit, you become someone worth noticing, someone worth pursuing. Remember, Stoicism teaches us that true power lies in mastering ourselves, not others. By reclaiming your self-worth, you're taking the first step toward a dynamic where you're no longer the chaser, but the prize. Now, what will happen next? How does this newfound self-worth shift the balance of power and change the entire dynamic of your relationship? Stay with me, because in the next part, we'll explore how creating intrigue and mystery can turn you into the man she can't stop thinking about. 2. The power of detachment. Let's play with a scenario. Imagine you're no longer the one constantly reaching out. No more chasing, no more bending over backward to be noticed. Suddenly there's silence. As she opens her phone, but there's no text from you. She glances around at the usual places, but you're nowhere to be found. And then it hits her. You've pulled back. This is where the real magic of detachment begins. In that space of absence, you shift the narrative entirely. You've stopped pushing for her attention, and instead you're letting things unfold naturally. This is one of the core principles of Stoicism. We can't control others, only our own actions and reactions. By stepping back, you're no longer emotionally entangled in the need for her validation. Now here's the question that will keep her up at night. Why did he stop? Your detachment creates a ripple effect. It disrupts the predictable pattern she's grown accustomed to, and human nature kicks in. People are inherently curious, especially when the unexpected happens. The absence of your pursuit becomes a mystery, and nothing is more captivating than an unanswered question. Suddenly, you've gone from being the open book she could read at her leisure to an enigmatic novel she can't put down. But this is more than just creating curiosity. It's about demonstrating strength. When you detach, you're sending a powerful message. I don't need your attention to feel valuable. And let's be honest, nothing is more attractive than someone who is secure in themselves. It's a quiet confidence that speaks louder than words. Think about this. How often do we chase things not because we truly want them, because we fear losing them? By detaching, you show her that you're not afraid of that loss. You're perfectly content focusing on your own growth, your own goals, and your own happiness. This isn't about playing hard to get. It's about genuinely being hard to get because your life is already full and fulfilling. Now let me ask you, how do you think this changes her perspective? When someone pulls away, the natural reaction is to lean in. By removing yourself from the chase, you create a vacuum, and nature abhors a vacuum. She starts to notice your absence, and with that she starts to feel a shift in her own emotions. She begins to wonder if she misjudged you, if perhaps she's missing out on something extraordinary. This is the essence of detachment. It's not about manipulation, it's about reclaiming your peace of mind and, in doing so, becoming undeniably attractive. You're no longer driven by external outcomes, which aligns perfectly with the wisdom of Stoicism. You focus on what you can control, your actions, your growth, and let everything else fall into place naturally. So how do you feel about embracing this power? Imagine the freedom of no longer being weighed down by the need for someone else's approval. Imagine the strength you'd exude simply by choosing to prioritize yourself. If this resonates with you, let me know in the comments. Have you ever experienced a shift when you stopped chasing and focused on yourself? Share your story. Your insight could be exactly what someone else needs to hear. And while you're here, don't forget to like this video. Every like, every comment helps us build a community of individuals committed to growth, confidence, and self-mastery. Let's keep exploring this journey together, one powerful shift at a time. 3. Creating intrigue and mystery. Picture this. You've pulled back, and now there's a silence where your constant presence once was. What happens next? Her mind starts to race. She's wondering why you've disappeared, what you're up to, and most importantly, why she's thinking about you so much more now than before. This is the power of creating intrigue. You've gone from being predictable to mysterious, from readily available to elusive, and mystery is intoxicating. Think about the last time you were captivated by someone or something. It was likely because there was a sense of the unknown, something just out of reach. This is exactly what happens when you step back and allow her curiosity to take over. Here's the fascinating part. Human psychology craves resolution. When a pattern is broken, our minds naturally seek to fill in the gaps. She's used to you being there, always initiating, always present. But now there's a void, and that void becomes the canvas for her imagination. She starts to wonder, did I do something wrong? Has he lost interest in me? Is he seeing someone else? These questions don't just arise, they linger. They create a loop in her mind where she begins to focus more and more on you. And the beauty of this dynamic? You've done nothing except prioritize your own peace and self-respect. Intrigue doesn't come from grand gestures or elaborate schemes. It comes from your ability to step back and let her come to terms with your absence. By becoming a puzzle she can't immediately solve, you're now occupying a space in her thoughts that wasn't there before. But let's dig deeper into why this works. When you stop chasing, you shift the dynamic of control. Previously, she held the power, you were pursuing her, making her the center of your world. But by pulling back, you've taken control of your narrative. You're no longer seeking her validation, and that change is palpable. This isn't about playing games, it's about breaking free from the cycle of overpursuit. When you constantly chase someone, they often take your presence for granted. But when you remove yourself, they're forced to confront what life feels like without you. That space creates longing, and longing transforms into attraction. Now let's consider how this aligns with the principles of Stoicism. The Stoics taught us the importance of focusing on what we can control and letting go of what we can't. You can't control how she feels about you, but you can control how you show up, or in this case, how you intentionally step back. By doing so, you allow her to experience the natural consequences of your absence. And here's the best part. The intrigue you've created isn't fleeting. It's not based on superficial tactics or temporary strategies. It's rooted in your authenticity, in your ability to value yourself and your time. She sees a man who is confident enough to walk away from the chase and live his life unapologetically. That's the kind of mystery that keeps her coming back for more. As her curiosity deepens, so does her interest. You become more than just someone she knows, you're someone she wants to understand. Someone she feels compelled to figure out. This shift in perspective is where true attraction begins to bloom. Think about it. When was the last time you truly appreciated something that was handed to you without effort? The things we value most are often those we had to earn to work for. By stepping back, you've given her the opportunity to invest in you, to seek out the connection that once seemed so certain. This is the power of intrigue and mystery. It's not about manipulation or pretense. It's about creating space for authentic attraction to grow. And when that happens, you'll find that the connection between you becomes stronger, more meaningful, and ultimately more fulfilling. 4. The fear of losing you. Let's explore one of the most powerful forces in human psychology, the fear of loss. When you stop chasing her, you inadvertently trigger this deep-seated fear. It's not something she consciously decides to feel. It's a natural response to the sudden shift in dynamic. The attention she once took for granted is now gone, and with that absence comes an unsettling realization she could lose you. Hormones are wired to place higher value on things that are scarce or can slip away. Think about it. Why do rare gems or limited edition items seem so much more desirable? Because we fear missing out on something that not everyone can have. The same principle applies to relationships. And when you were always there, she might have felt secure, even complacent. But now that you've pulled back, she's forced to confront the possibility of losing you entirely. Here's where things get interesting. Her perception of your value increases dramatically, where suddenly, every small thing you did, the texts, the thoughtful gestures, the time you spent together, becomes more meaningful in hindsight. She starts to realize how much she appreciated those moments, even if she didn't acknowledge it at the time. This shift in perspective often leads to introspection. She begins to wonder, did I misjudge him? Did I push him away? What if someone else sees his worth and I lose my chance? These questions don't just linger, they take root, fueling a growing sense of urgency. The fear of losing you pushes her to reevaluate her own feelings and actions. She may even start to compare herself to other women, questioning whether she's done enough to keep your attention. This self-reflection can be a powerful motivator, driving her to reach out, to reconnect, to show you that she values your presence. But let's take a step back and consider why this happens. When you stop chasing, you shift from a position of seeking to one of offering. You're no longer asking for her attention, you're allowing her the opportunity to earn yours. This subtle yet profound change in energy is what sparks the fear of loss. She senses that your time and presence are not guarantees but privileges, something she must cherish if she wants to keep. And let's not forget the role of Stoicism here. By detaching from the outcome, you demonstrate a level of emotional resilience that's both rare and highly attractive. You're not driven by fear or insecurity. You've embraced the reality that you can't control how others respond to you. This calm, self-assured stance sends a clear message. You're not afraid to walk away if your value isn't recognized. This is incredibly powerful. When someone realizes that you're strong enough to move on without them, it forces them to confront their own vulnerabilities. The fear of losing someone who is secure, confident, and self-sufficient is far greater than the fear of losing someone who is dependent or needy. Now imagine how this dynamic plays out. She starts to think about you more often, wondering where you are, what you're doing, and most importantly, if you're slipping away. The fear of loss becomes a driving force pulling her closer to you. And because this shift comes from within her, it's genuine. As she's not acting out of obligation or habit, she's motivated by her own desire to keep you in her life. This fear doesn't just create attraction, it deepens connection. It pushes her to prioritize you in ways she might not have before, to show you that she values what you bring to the relationship. And because this process is rooted in her own realizations, it leads to a more authentic, balanced dynamic. By stepping back and embracing the principles of Stoicism, you've allowed her to feel the weight of your absence. You've given her the space to confront her own fears, and in doing so, created an opportunity for the relationship to evolve naturally. And when she does reach out, it won't be because she feels pressured or guilty. It will be because she genuinely doesn't want to lose you. This is the paradox of attraction. Sometimes the most powerful way to be noticed is to step back and let your absence speak for itself. 5. Igniting her competitive spirit. When you stop chasing her, something fascinating happens. You trigger her competitive nature. Suddenly, the dynamic shifts. She's no longer the center of your world, and this shift in focus doesn't go unnoticed. Now she's faced with a new reality. She's no longer the only one in the running for your attention. And this thought, it's enough to spark a fire within her. Competition is an intrinsic part of human nature. When we sense that something valuable might be slipping away, or worse, that someone else might claim it, we're driven to act. By stepping back, you've subtly introduced a sense of scarcity, and scarcity breeds desire. As she begins to see you not just as someone who is always available, but as someone who could potentially be pursued by others. Think about this for a moment. What's more compelling than realizing you could lose something to someone else? This realization doesn't just create urgency, it ignites her competitive spirit. As she starts to think about how she can win you back, how she can make herself stand out once again. You might notice subtle changes in her behavior. Maybe she begins to dress up more when she knows she'll see you, or perhaps she shows a newfound interest in your hobbies or passions. These small, deliberate actions aren't random. They're her way of stepping into the game, of showing you that she's worth your time and attention. But here's the key. This isn't just about jealousy, it's about self-validation. In her mind, winning you back becomes a way of proving her own worth. As she wants to feel that she still holds a special place in your life, that she's someone who can rise above the competition. And as she puts in more effort, the dynamic between you naturally starts to shift. This is where Stoicism offers invaluable guidance. By remaining calm, composed, and focused on your crew and growth, you're demonstrating that your self-worth isn't tied to her actions. You're not swayed by the ups and downs of her attention. And this stability is what makes you so magnetic. You've shown her that you're not just a man who chases, you're a man who is worth chasing. And let's be honest, people value what they have to work for. When she feels that she needs to earn your attention, that it's no longer guaranteed, her investment in the relationship deepens. She's no longer passive, she's actively engaged, driven by the desire to keep what she now sees as valuable. This dynamic isn't about manipulation or games. It's about balance. By stepping back, you're allowing her to step forward. You're giving her the space to show you what she's capable of, to remind you why she's someone worth your time. And in doing so, you're fostering a more authentic connection, one where both parties are equally invested. Now let me ask you, have you ever noticed someone putting in more effort once they sensed they were losing your attention? It's a powerful shift, isn't it? If you've experienced this, or if this insight resonates with you, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Share your story in the comments. Your perspective could inspire someone else to embrace this transformative approach. And if you're finding value in these insights, take a moment to like this video. Your support helps us continue exploring these powerful dynamics together. Let's keep building a community of confident, self-assured individuals who understand the true power of connection. 6. Encouraging her reflection. When you pull back and stop chasing her, you create a space, a silence that wasn't there before. This silence is powerful. It compels her to reflect not just on you, but on herself and how she's been showing up in the relationship. In your absence, her mind begins to replay past interactions, examining them with a new lens. She starts to question, was I too dismissive? Did I take his efforts for granted? Did I truly appreciate the value he brought into my life? This introspection isn't just surface level. It's deep and often uncomfortable. She's forced to confront her own actions, her attitudes, and even her emotional availability. In many cases, she begins to see things she didn't notice before. The times you supported her without expecting anything in return. The way you always seemed to know how to lift her spirits. The consistency of your presence, which now feels like a void. What's happening here is an internal shift. She's moving from a place of passive acceptance to active realization. And this process is crucial because genuine appreciation often comes not in the moment, but in hindsight. But why does this happen? Because your absence acts as a mirror, reflecting back her own behavior. Without the constant reassurance of your presence, she begins to see where she might have faltered. This is where the teachings of Stoicism align perfectly. We cannot change others, but by changing our actions, we influence the world around us. By stepping back, you're not telling her what to think or how to feel. You're allowing her the space to come to her own conclusions. This is powerful because it's authentic. Her realizations are her own, unprompted and deeply personal. As she reflects, she may also begin to recognize patterns in her own behavior. Perhaps she's been holding back emotionally, or maybe she's been too focused on her own needs without considering yours. And whatever the case, this period of introspection can lead to growth, not just for her, but for the relationship as a whole. And here's the beauty of it. This reflection often leads to change. When she comes to terms with her own shortcomings, she's more likely to make adjustments. She might reach out with more sincerity, show more appreciation, or make a greater effort to connect. These changes aren't forced or superficial, they're rooted in her own realizations. This process also serves as a filter. If she genuinely values you and what you brought into her life, she'll take these reflections seriously and act on them. If not, she may choose not to engage, which tells you everything you need to know about her level of investment. Either way, you gain clarity and maintain your self-respect. Ultimately, encouraging her reflection through your detachment is a testament to your own emotional maturity. It shows that you're not afraid to give her the space to think and grow, and in doing so, you're fostering a deeper, more meaningful connection, one built on mutual respect and genuine understanding. 7. She recognizes her feelings. When you step back and create distance, something profound happens. She starts to connect with her true feelings. In your absence, she's left alone with her thoughts, and those thoughts often reveal emotions she may have been ignoring or suppressing. At first, she might try to rationalize your detachment. Maybe he's just busy. Perhaps he's lost interest. But as time goes on, these surface-level explanations give way to something deeper. She starts to ask herself questions she hadn't considered before. Why do I keep thinking about him? Why do I feel a sense of loss when he's not around? Do I actually have stronger feelings for him than I realized? This process of emotional recognition is powerful. Before, your consistent presence might have made it easy for her to take you for granted or to downplay her own emotions. But now, the space you've created forces her to sit with those feelings and confront them head-on. Let's take a moment to unpack why this happens. People often need contrast to truly appreciate what they have. When you were always there, Your attention and presence became part of her routine. She didn't have to think about what life would be like without you, because she never had to experience it. But now that you've pulled back, the contrast is clear. She feels the absence, and in that void, her emotions come into sharper focus. This is where her recognition deepens. She begins to remember the times you made her feel special, the unique way you connected, and the qualities that set you apart from others. These memories don't just surface, they linger. They replay in her mind, reinforcing the emotional connection she feels toward you. But it's not just about nostalgia. She's also recognizing the emotional security you provided. Maybe it's the way you listened without judgment, or how you were always there during tough times. These moments, once overlooked, now stand out as evidence of your value in her life. This awakening of feelings can be surprising for her. She might not have realized how much you meant to her until now. And as her emotional clarity grows, so does her desire to reconnect. She starts to see you not just as someone she enjoys being around, but as someone who holds a significant place in her life. Here's the beauty of this process. It's entirely her own journey. You didn't pressure her, manipulate her, or demand her attention. You simply stepped back, focused on yourself, and let her come to these realizations organically. This makes her recognition of her feelings all the more genuine and powerful. From a Stoic perspective, this is a perfect example of letting go of what you can't control. You've embraced your own path, allowing her the space to discover her true emotions without interference. And in doing so, you've created the conditions for a more authentic and balanced connection. As she continues to reflect, those feelings will only grow stronger. She'll start to understand that the connection she feels with you isn't something she can easily replace. And when that realization fully sets in, it can transform the way she views your relationship, making her more appreciative, more invested, and more open to building something deeper. By recognizing her feelings, she's not only acknowledging your importance, but also taking a crucial step towards strengthening the bond you share. 8. Absence makes the heart grow fonder. There's a timeless saying, absence makes the heart grow fonder. But have you ever stopped to think about why this is true? That when someone is no longer a constant presence in our lives, we start to notice their absence in ways we couldn't have imagined. This isn't just a cliche, it's a deeply rooted psychological truth. When you step back, she's left with the quiet echoes of the moments you shared, those inside jokes, the comforting words, the unique connection you had. All of it begins to resurface in her mind. And the more she reflects, the more she realizes just how much those moments meant. At first, the silence might feel strange to her. She might not even fully register it. But as the days go by, your absence becomes more noticeable. She finds herself replaying your conversations, smiling at memories she hadn't thought about in a while. Each small memory is a reminder of the value you brought into her life. And suddenly, you're no longer just someone she spent time with. You're someone she misses. This is the power of distance. It allows emotions to settle and appreciation to grow. When you're constantly present, your value can sometimes fade into the background. But in your absence, those small, everyday moments gain new significance. She starts to long for the way you made her feel valued, understood, and truly seen. Now let me ask you, have you ever noticed how much more you appreciate something when it's gone? That's exactly what's happening here. She's beginning to understand that the connection she felt with you isn't something she can easily replace. And this realization is profound. From a Stoic perspective, you've mastered one of life's greatest lessons, the ability to let go and allow things to unfold naturally. You're not forcing her to feel this way, you've simply created the space for her to reflect and come to these conclusions on her own. But here's where it gets even more interesting. The more she misses you, the more her feelings of attraction intensify. This isn't about playing games, it's about understanding the natural ebb and flow of human connection. By stepping back, you've given her the opportunity to truly feel the depth of her emotions, free from external pressure or expectation. And trust me, when someone begins to miss you, it's not just a fleeting thought. It's a deep emotional response that often leads to action. She might find herself reaching out, sending a text, or even trying to bump into you unexpectedly. These aren't random acts. They're her way of closing the gap your absence has created. Now, if this resonates with you, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Have you ever experienced a situation where your absence made someone realize your value? Or perhaps you've been on the other side, recognizing someone's importance only after they step back. Share your experiences in the comments below. Your stories help us all learn and grow. And if you're finding value in these insights, don't forget to like this video. It's a simple way to show your support and help build a community of people who are committed to mastering the art of connection through self-awareness and emotional resilience. Let's continue this journey together, discovering the true power of Stoicism in relationships and beyond. 9. Shifting priorities and dynamic. When you stop chasing, something subtle yet transformative begins to happen. Her priorities start to realign. At first, she may not fully understand the shift, but as time passes and your absence lingers, she begins to reassess what truly matters in her life. The dynamic between you changes, and with it, her focus shifts from passive interest to active engagement. Before, when you were always present and available, it was easy for her to assume that your attention was a given. But now that you've stepped back, she's forced to confront the reality that your presence was not a guarantee, it was a choice. And with that realization comes a newfound appreciation for what you brought to the table. This shift is powerful because it's not about her simply missing you. It's about her recognizing your value and understanding that she wants to keep you in her life. As she begins to think more about how she can contribute to the relationship, how she can show up in ways she hadn't before. The balance has now shifted. You're no longer the one constantly pursuing her approval. Instead, she's investing her energy into understanding how she can meet you halfway. This is a critical turning point because it signals that she's willing to put in the effort to nurture the connection. It's no longer about you proving yourself to her. It's about mutual investment. But why does this happen? When someone experiences the absence of something meaningful, it prompts a reevaluation of priorities. As she begins to recognize the unique role you played in her life, the laughter, the support, the sense of security you provided. And with that recognition comes a desire to preserve and deepen the connection. This process isn't about manipulation or games, it's about creating space for genuine emotional growth. When you give her room to reflect, you allow her to come to these realizations naturally without pressure. And this makes the shift in her priorities all the more authentic. From a Stoic standpoint, you've demonstrated one of the most crucial lessons. True connection cannot be forced, it must be nurtured through mutual respect and understanding. By stepping back, you've not only respected her space, but also reinforced your own boundaries and self-worth. This balance is what fosters a healthy and lasting dynamic. As her priorities realign, you'll notice a change in how she interacts with you. As she might initiate conversations more frequently, express her feelings more openly, or make an effort to spend quality time together. These actions reflect her growing recognition of your value and her desire to keep you as an important part of her life. Ultimately, this shift creates a more balanced and fulfilling connection. You're no longer in a one-sided pursuit. You're now part of a relationship where both parties are equally invested. And that perhaps is the most rewarding outcome of all. By now, you've seen the profound changes that occur when you stop chasing and start focusing on yourself. Each shift, from reclaiming your self-worth to sparking her reflection and realigning the dynamic, builds a new, healthier foundation for connection. These aren't just tactics, they're transformative principles rooted in self-respect, authenticity, and the timeless wisdom of Stoicism. So, let's take a moment to reflect on what you've learned. The power of stepping back lies not in manipulation, but in self-mastery. When you detach from the need for external validation, you free yourself to grow, to thrive, and to attract others naturally. That you become the man who doesn't chase because he knows his worth and trusts that what's meant for him will come. But remember, this journey isn't just about her, it's about you. It's about becoming the best version of yourself, someone who radiates confidence, purpose, and calm strength. As you apply these principles, you'll not only see shifts in your relationships, but also in every aspect of your life. Now, I want to hear from you. Have you ever experienced the power of stepping back and focusing on your own growth? How did it change the way others viewed you? Share your thoughts and stories below. Let's learn and grow together as a community. If you found this content valuable, consider liking this video and subscribing for more insights on mastering connection through self-awareness and personal growth. Your support helps us continue this journey together, exploring the art of attraction with the wisdom of Stoicism. Thank you for watching, and remember, your value comes from within. Stay strong, stay confident, and let the world see the best version of you. Until next time.